Welcome to another episode of OG55. We got theme park conductor in the house. We are talking about those announcements regarding Avengers Campus and Galaxy's Edge from that event today from Josh and Alan Bergman. A lot of great news to come out of this event. We're going to do multiple videos on this, but today we're focusing on Avengers and Star Wars. Up next on OG55.
I ain't got nothing to say but West Side.
Welcome aboard, everybody, to another fantastic episode of OD55. We got the one, the only Mr. Theme Park Conductor, Mr. Choo Choo. You know, the train guy. You know, he loves the caboose, right? Right, Conductor. How you doing, brother? Good to have you on.
Oh, no, it's always great to be on. It's always great to talk theme parks. And today, like Orange Grove 55 said, we have a great two topics we're going to talk about, and I'm so excited to talk about it.
Absolutely. Where can everybody find you on social media? Where can they subscribe to you on YouTube? All that good stuff, brother.
Absolutely. You can find me on YouTube, Instagram, and Blue Sky at Theme Park Conductor. You can find me on X at Theme Conductor. You can also find me every Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Conductor Thursday, where I have amazing guests on the show, or I go solo. My last one, I had Capture the Magic on, great friend of the channel now. So more guests are coming in the future. So definitely stay tuned.
Yeah, absolutely. Make sure you check out Theme Park Conductor's YouTube channel. Those Conductor Thursdays are a lot of fun. George, the Italiano, myself, Mr. Michael Webba, we've all been on Conductor Thursdays. We are regulars over there. So if you want to check us out, we'll be over there as well every Thursday. Well, we're not there every Thursday, but a lot of times we are. But he has great guests like Tommy Toon and like you were saying, Capture the Magic, Jared. So really fun stuff. So make sure everybody you subscribe. I will be linking the channel down below. So, all right, let's dive in. Conductor, we had this event today with Daddy Josh, right? Our boy Daddy Josh and Mr. Alan Bergman. It was a technology event, and there was actually quite a few things that were kind of announced. It was kind of interesting. So let's dive into some of the Star Wars and the Marvel news to kind of break this down. So this is courtesy of our good friend, Drew, the one and only Disney dude. Says here, the new Millennium Falcon Smugglers Run mission features the Mandalorian and Grogu, will debut in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge at Disneyland Park at Disneyland Park and Hollywood Studios on May 22nd, 2026. So it's going to coordinate with the release of the film. These are some scenes from the new mission, which, I mean, this is absolutely incredible. Conductor, I mean, what are your thoughts in regards to, just overall in terms of like, them bringing a new mission to Smugglers Run? Do you like this idea, or should they keep it where it's at?
No, not at all. I'm so glad they did this because it shows that they're willing to bring new adventures to this attraction, just like they do with Star Tours. So I'm so glad that they're changing it up, adding new missions, adding new elements. It's such a fantastic idea because when you look at it, when you go to an average day at Disneyland, and especially Galaxy's Edge, the one ride in that land that's always busy is Rise of the Resistance. Don't get me wrong. Millennium Falcon is also busy, but not as busy. So the fact that they're adding new missions to this attractions, just like they do with Star Tours, is amazing. And shout out to Imagineering, because the reason I say that is they built this attraction just like Star Tours, so they can have the capabilities to do this. And that was very genius of them to do that.
Yeah, no, well said, Conductor. Well said. This is something that I think a lot of fans have been waiting for. Because we were promised this in 2019. I can't even believe it's been that long. It's been 6 years since this attraction opened. 6 years. And we were promised this from the get-go that we were going to get multiple missions, various adventures, and we've been waiting and waiting and waiting. Nothing's ever happened. Now we're finally getting that. So I think it's a fantastic idea. Over here, I don't know who this person is, but Dark Disney says, I hope the graphics are drastically improved. Yeah, actually, that's one of the things I'm hoping to, because, you know, this attraction is from 2019. Okay, so it's getting up there, you know, in age. I want to see, obviously, technology has improved in the last 6 years. I would like to see a lot. I would like to see it look a lot less video gamey.
Yeah.
And more real world adventure, like more like even Star Tours has more realism to it, I think. And if it can kind of mimic Star Tours more and get away from that video game look, I know it's different technology and I know this is much more advanced, so it might be harder, but I'm telling you, it would be really, really cool. But now, what do you think is going to happen with Hondo? Because they have this animatronic Hondo. Are they going to keep him, you think? Or are they going to remove him, maybe swap him out? Because look, here's the thing with Haunted Mansion Holiday. When you go out to the graveyard, right? When you're going down, and like you see Jack Skellington right there, right, with his bag, with the Santa bag. But like with normal Haunted Mansion, it's the old man with the lantern. So they can swap out animatronics. Do you think they'll swap the Hondo out for something else like a Mando, or do you think it'll just be like how are they going to work that? You think, Conductor?
Well, I think personally, bouncing back what you said, you know, obviously the Haunted Mansion is a lot older than this attraction is. And the fact that they're able to do that during Haunted Mansion Holiday is swap animatronics like that. I don't see why they can't on Millennium Falcon, because it's a newer attraction, obviously. And I can't see why they wouldn't have the capability.
Yeah.
They'll keep Mondo there forever. It just seems, if you're going to bring new missions like this and whatnot, you know, it kind of seems for him to be, you know, out of place, you know. So I don't see why they can't. Now, they might have to close the attraction for maybe 4 to 6 months to, you know, get the animatronic in there, make sure it's working. You know, that I'm okay with. But if they're going to just, you know, throw missions in there and then just keep Mondo or Hondo as an animatronic, it almost doesn't make sense. I would like to see a Mandalorian or some type of character from that TV series as an animatronic. That would be sick.
Yeah, very, very cool. And I love what they're doing with this stuff, because they're showing a willingness to sort of get out of that sequel trilogy time period, right? Yeah. So if I'm not mistaken, Galaxy's Edge takes place in between The Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker on the timeline, if I'm not mistaken. It's in and around that time period. So they're obviously moving away from that, because Mandalorian takes place after Return of the Jedi. So this is a much different time period. It's showing a willingness from Disney and Lucasfilm to kind of mix this up a little bit. And they should. This is the thing, Conductor, we've been talking about a lot here on the channel. Star Wars is a multi-generational fandom. When I was a kid growing up in the 80s, obviously the original trilogy was the to-do. That was the big deal, right? But even as a teenager, when I was a teenager, and even going into like college, it was more the prequels, like the Hayden Christensen era, right? Which I love the prequels as well. But it's like, there's all these generations of Star Wars fans, and you have like the younger fans today who grew up on like the animated stuff, right? Like the Filoni-verse, right? Like Resistance and like Rebels and what have you. So you have all these Star Wars fans from multiple decades. The land should be a celebration of this franchise and should celebrate all the generations of Star Wars. And look, that includes the sequel trilogy, obviously. Like it is part of Star Wars, you know, but I think they really need to start adding more of these other eras in. So this is a good attraction to kind of do that, because it is screen-based. You can get away with it, right? You can do it much easier than you can with like Rise of the Resistance. So this is perfect. And I think Mandalorian and Grogu, we saw a little bit of it, a little bit of footage, not much, but a little bit at D23 back in August, George and I thought it was fantastic. It looked really, really fun. I think it's gonna be a big hit. I mean, come on, who doesn't like Grogu? I mean, even your grandma loves Grogu. I mean, it's so mainstream, right? So everyone's I think it's gonna be a hit movie. This will be fantastic. Hopefully they keep it, you know, on the attraction for a while, and then maybe in a few years we'll switch out the adventure to something else, right? But yeah, it's a perfect thing, and this is finally what fans have been asking for. Now, Disney, if you're watching, let's get some music in the land. You know, that's another big thing that we've been wanting. Like, you know, if you don't want to pipe the music through the bushes, you can do like, you know, alien bands that kind of roam the land and dun 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 dun, play music along the way, you know, cool stuff like that. But it needs more life to it. But this is a great start. You got to give credit where it's due, and I think Disney's making the right move on this one. So, you know, absolutely. So yeah, these are some scenes. Broken up Death Star, pretty dope. Like we said, this takes place. Mandalorian as a franchise takes place after Return of the Jedi. So that would explain why the Death Star looks like this. And yeah, so overall, dude, this is pretty dope. Before we pivot to the next topic, anything else you kind of want to add to this, brother?
No, just to tie it off on my end, like I said at the very beginning, I like that they built this attraction just like Star Tours, where they can interchange new adventures, new missions for the average everyday theme park. Oh, here we go. This right here, man.
There he is, Mr. Italiano. I was not expecting this. I saw another private chat had a message. I'm like, wait, what's that? And I said, surprise. I'm like, all right, cool. George, welcome to the show, brother.
Thanks for last minute we decided we just got back from SeaWorld and wasn't sure what time we would get back in, and I thought, you know, it's only like 10-12 minutes in of their recording. I'm gonna crash the party.
Let's do it, man. Let's do it. Welcome to the party, brother. There we go. So yeah, we were just actually talking, George, about the new mission coming to Smugglers Run. You want to go ahead and elaborate on what you feel about that, brother?
Yeah, I thought it was quite smart on Disney's behalf, and maybe even Lucasfilm for that matter, because Jon Favreau was part of this presentation where the new kind of ride that's going to be part of Smugglers Run is going to basically open on Memorial Day weekend, the same time as Mandalorian and Grogu movie. So a lot of cross marketing and promotion. I thought that was very smart for the movie and for the ride.
Right.
I'm not a huge fan of Smugglers Run in general, but I do think it's nice that they're adding a new storyline, new characters to the ride. I mean, Mandalorian and Grogu. I mean, how can you go wrong with that? I mean, and a lot of the locations as well. You know, you're kind of going back to the origins of Star Wars, and I think it's going to be quite interesting of how, you know, it may how it tie into the movie, you know, and of course, you know, baby Grogu. I mean, come on. I mean, you
can't go wrong with that. Yeah, exactly. And yeah, that's a good point, George. I mean, they are going back to the original trilogy era, right? Mandalorian is definitely the original trilogy era. It takes place shortly after the Return of the Jedi. It's still within that original trilogy era, absolutely. But even the Luke Skywalker news we got recently, like young Luke is going to be in the land. I mean, they are mixing it up. And that's what I was saying before we got on the show, where it's like, it's really good to see Disney sort of like, you know, bringing all these generations of Star Wars together. This should be a celebration of the franchise. You want to celebrate all the fans, you know what I'm saying? Yes, sequel trilogy is absolutely cool, and the people that love the sequel trilogy should have their thing as well. But what about the OT? What about the prequels? What about, you know what I'm saying? So we're finally seeing some of that love. Now, Conductor, I'm sorry, I did cut you off though when George came in. You want to finish your thought, brother?
No, I that's pretty much all I was gonna say, and George, you can chime in too. I was just saying, I'm so glad that when they built Smugglers Run, they made it like Star Tours, where they can introduce new adventures, new missions. And me and OG were just talking just a minute ago before you showed up. We were saying, well, with all these new adventures coming to Smugglers Run, could we see a swap of animatronics? And what we're talking about was Hondo getting out for maybe a Mandalorian or some type of new character. So it's not just the same. What do you think?
Yeah, George, I was telling him, like, for Haunted Mansion Holiday, they swap out the old man with the lantern for Jack Skellington every year, basically. So they have the capability to do that. I mean, do you think it's possible that they'll swap out Hondo and put like a Mando AA in there? Or do you think we would have heard it by now if they were going to do that?
Not necessarily. I mean, I don't think that's far-fetched at all. I mean, because when they first made this announcement that Dave Filoni actually brought it up at D23, I thought it was just going to be kind of like a quickie kind of thing, like within the next couple months, we were going to see this. But the fact that they just announced that it's not going to be till not this Memorial Day weekend, the next Memorial Day weekend, that means they got a lot of time before they flesh out a lot of extra details. So it really wouldn't surprise me if they change out the animatronics. I would love to see Mando, Grogu, or maybe another character in the Mandalorian universe kind of be the MC, so to speak, to kind of get us into the Millennium Falcon for this adventure. I think they can do it. It's very possible, and they didn't really give too much detail on the extra logistics of it, so I wouldn't count it out.
No, I wouldn't either, and I agree with you, George. And here's the thing too: they knew. I was telling Conductor that, like, they knew when we got this attraction in 2019. It's now attraction is 6 years old, right? We've had it for a while now. But when we got this attraction 6 years ago, we were told back then that we were getting multiple different adventures with this. So they might have built that Hondo AA with the mindset that it could be swapped out, So there might be whatever they need to swap it out, what I'm saying? Technical, whatever,
And another thing is too, by this kind of being
Froze.
He froze. We'll bring him back in a second. But what say you, Conductor? I mean, do you think that maybe that's a possibility that they actually like built the AA with the idea of actually like swapping it out in the future, or not so much?
No. I think at this point, even in 2019, 6 years ago, I think they had that in mind. They have to. They honestly have to. Like you said, if they with Haunted Mansion that's been there for what seems like forever, why couldn't they do it with a newer attraction? That's the way.
Yeah.
And you make a good point. George makes a good point too. There's so many different characters, so many different stories, so many different adventures in Star Wars. We they can come up with new storylines, new missions, new characters for the next 100 years if they wanted to. Possibilities are endless.
Yeah, Star Wars is a franchise, and that's why I love Star Wars so much. Is that Star Wars is a franchise that you literally can do anything with Star Wars. You have Mandalorian, which is kind of like a Western, so to speak, a galactic Western.
Yeah. But
then you can switch it up, and you can do the fairy tale route, a galactic fairy tale with Star Wars. You can switch it up, and you can do a spy genre with Star Wars. I mean, you can literally do any genre with Star Wars. That's why I actually really think it works beautifully in Disneyland, because it takes all the lands that you have in the park. So, Adventureland, Frontierland, Tomorrowland, Fantasyland. It takes all these lands, and it's basically like a love letter almost to all these lands, right? Because it speaks to fantasy. It speaks to new frontiers. It speaks to tomorrow. Yes, I know it's a galaxy far, far away, a long time ago, but for us, it's still the fucking future. Okay, we don't live like that. Okay, so so it's all this stuff. So it fits beautifully, So yeah, you're right. There's so much you can do with it. So, and welcome back, George.
Thank you. Yeah, sorry about that. For some reason I lost hotel connection. But anyway, as I was saying, that I wonder if this is going to be a beta test for Smugglers Run, that they can not even just add this new mission, but in the future add even more, maybe something with Ahsoka or what have you, like just different characters, different missions. And if they do that, I wonder if that would then set the stage, because yes, it is still popular. Yes, it is a classic Disney attraction, but Star Tours being over in Tomorrowland, could that initially mean that Star Tours might be going bye-bye in Tomorrowland and could possibly be seeing another newer kind of IP on the horizon that they even hinted that was going to be put in Tomorrowland.
Yes, and we're gonna do a video on that because Fantastic Four.
I was just,
There's a lot. There's a lot with that for sure. But you're right though, George, in that I think one of the big hurdles for Smugglers Run is that the technology was new at the time, or it was kind of a little more complicated than like the Star Tour stuff. But if they can kind of manage it and they can swap it out on a more regular basis for Smugglers Run, there's less of a need for Star Tours now. Now you free that up, you know? So very, very good, astute observation, sir. Now we're gonna switch franchises. George, hey, you know what? I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it right now, bro. We're gonna pivot, dude.
I'ma let you pivot.
Yeah, dude. Oh, one more time.
I'ma let you pivot.
Hey, Conductor, it was so funny. We had Theme Park Wizard, good friend of the channel, on here, and we played that clip, right? And like, you know, most dudes are looking at the girl, right? You know, pretty attractive female, right? Wizard goes, "Hey, play that back. I want to see that guy's neck." Because he's like this. George and I lost it. We absolutely freaking lost it.
I'm sure.
It was hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. But let's go ahead and pivot now to Marvel. We got Avengers Campus news. It says here, Disney, this is from Drew the Disney Dude, by the way. Of course, we love Drew. Disney shared photos of Robert Downey Jr. visiting Walt Disney Imagineering as work continues at Stark Flight Lab, coming to Avengers Campus at DCA. Guests will sit in gyrokinetic pods, okay, and roll along a track before stopping in front of a giant robotic arm. The robot arm will hoist you into the air where you will make several high-speed maneuvers inspired by Iron Man and some other Avengers. Okay, here is the thing. This is where I'm probably gonna get a little toxic because I'm just not a huge fan of this. This is like the whirl and twirl like stuff. I don't know. For me, this is very underwhelming.
Yeah.
The Kuka arm technology is a cool technology. I think Universal has done a very good job with the Kuka arm stuff, with Forbidden Journey, with also the, I think Monsters Unleashed is actually the Kuka arm as well, right? If I'm not mistaken, with Epic
And
Universe.
that's what makes it so impressive when you don't see the Kuka arm.
Yes.
It gives you the impression that, hey, you're flying on a broomstick, or you're going through this haunted house with a bunch of creatures and monsters. When you have the Kuka arm out front and center, where you can see the whole entire thing,
Right.
It just feels like, and I get it, the storyline is you're using Stark tech and everything like that, but to me, I don't know, it just seems like something that you would find in a dare I say it, like a carnival based ride. I don't know.
No, I agree with you, brother. I agree with you. I mean, that's how I feel about it. It feels very cheap to me, kind of lazy. I don't like I've said before on the channel, I already know what this is going to be. This is going to basically be test track Avengers. Okay. So you're going to go through and they're going to tell you, okay, recruits, now we're going to do the Iron Man barrel roll, and you'll do the Iron Man thing. And what we're seeing here with the verbiage where you'll make several high-speed maneuvers inspired by Iron Man and some other Avengers. So this is going to be exactly what I was saying, where it's like you're going to do the Iron Man moves, you're going to do the Ant-Man moves, but you're not in any real adventure. It's a test and adjust sort of thing. Yeah. I don't know, man. I would much rather them utilize this as some sort of real adventure. We'll see how it all shapes up. But for me personally, I'm not really big on this. What say you, Conductor? Are you feeling this or?
So I have to agree with you both. Riding Forbidden Journey and then seeing this, I agree with you. The whole point of riding something like that has the Kuka arm technology is not to see the actual Kuka arm. It's actually to be immersed into the attraction and follow the storyline. And I kind of feel, like George said, I get where they're going with the storyline. It just kind of seems a little odd for me. And I think there was a picture on X. I don't know who posted it, but they showed an outline of what the track is going to look like. You're talking maybe about a 30-second, 40-second ride, and basically you're getting picked up by a robotic arm and you're getting thrashed around. Personally for me, I would much more appreciate it if Stark Flight Labs kind of went into Avengers Infinity Defense, where it had a bigger track layout, but it kind of commingled with Avengers Infinity Defense, because I kind of feel, the Kuka arms kind of went through different, like a big long tunnel with like movie scene, or like, movie clips from the movies, or some type of figures, or maybe a couple animatronics, like Iron Man animatronic kind of talking to you, or something like that. I kind of just feel like this is just basic and generic, and they're just throwing a label on it. Now, I do want to quote something that Robert Downey Jr. did say on stage, because he was kind of joking around, and that's when Josh Tomorrow came out and basically said, "Oh, Robert Downey Jr., you want to join Imagineering, you want to be part of it, blah, blah, blah." And they're joking around on stage and whatnot. It makes me wonder at this point, because he was talking about being part of the, being part of the Imagineering team after Stark Flight Labs is built, after Avengers Infinity Defense is built. It makes me wonder if the theory for at least DCA, if Avengers Campus decides to even go even bigger and take over that Hyperion footprint, if we could see a Iron Man, single IP attraction, whether it's a roller coaster, some type of cosmic rewind, or something like that. I just kind of feel like this is kind of like what you guys are saying. It's kind of like a carnival type, high-end attraction.
Yeah, it feels to me very much like like an attraction they would have done in like the 90s or something.
Yeah,
like the test tracky stuff. Like, it worked in the time period, but right now I think themed entertainment, it has moved beyond that.
Yeah, because right here, look how small the track is. So
I
it's
feel like that this was like a last minute filler. Like, I feel like that this was never really planned, and I think that's why it caught us all by surprise when Scott Trowbridge made that announcement at D23. Because I feel like that the ride systems that's part of Stark Flight Lab was to be used for, at the time when it was the Quinjet experience.
Yeah.
Where you were supposed to break off into the Quinjet, and each person would have their individual adventure with the Avengers. And I feel like being that got flushed down the toilet and it became Infinity Defense, they're like, hey, we got all these Kuka arms. What are we supposed to do with them? And it's like, oh, well, let's make another D ticket attraction, and we won't even have to skin them. We don't even have to have an immersive story. Let's just keep the arms as the Kuka arm, and let's just do something with that. Oh, let's use Stark flight tech, and like, how can we? So I feel like that they basically just kind of, this attraction is basically a Band-Aid to just fill in the gaps of that extra space, where me personally, being that it's really not a whole lot of space, but there is enough footprint, probably with the queue line and the attraction itself, I would have loved for them to make like an indoor-outdoor kick-ass like Marvel stunt show. Like, for me, that would have been awesome, because I love Waterworld at Universal.
Yeah,
it's
me too.
like one of my favorite things to do at Universal, and go figure, it's based off of a movie that literally tanked and lost the studio millions of dollars. But as a stunt show, it's phenomenal with like the pyro and the stunts and all that kind of stuff. So I would love for them to have done that. Kind of go a little bit risky, do the fighting, do the jumping, maybe set something or someone on fire. Like, like go all out. Like, I want to see like that kind of like Avengers style stunt show. I would have preferred that over something like this.
Yeah. Oh, me too, brother. Like, for me, this feels very, I would agree with you, George. I think it was a last minute thing. I think they had the technology, based on the R&D, the research and development from the Avengers e-ticket. They had this, stuff already, R&D'd basically, and they're like, why don't we turn this into another attraction? Which I like where the mindset was at, but where their mindset was with that. I think it's cool to make what you can out of something, right?
Sure.
But this ain't it. It's too meta for me. It's too behind the scenes. I want to be immersed in some sort of story. I don't want to have it where like literally like the story is you're boarding this like Kuka arm. Like the story seems like we're boarding a Kuka arm to mimic the maneuvers of Iron Man. Like for me, that's not, I don't know. I think, and this is the thing that's frustrated me a lot with DCA is that I feel like Disney doesn't try as hard with DCA.
No.
Right. And it's all too often we get this kind of like this half-assed sort of half attempt. This would never fly at Disneyland. They would never do this at Disneyland. Okay.
Well, I'm sorry, just to cut you off just for a second. I watched one of your videos just recently. I forgot which one it was. And if I'm not mistaken, I think it was either you or George brought it up, or maybe the guest you had on at the time said it. Basically, the way I took it in was DCA was always meant for adult entertainment. It was never meant to be for kids in general. Now, Disneyland, 100% kids. It caters to everybody. DCA is more the adult, it still does cater to the kids a little bit, but it's more the adult park. That's probably don't try so much because people are like, we'll go on a couple rides and then start drinking.
There you go, exactly. The real MVP is the alcohol, right? A Conductor. That's the real MVP with that park. Yeah,
which actually is very true because I went to opening day with Abby at Food and Wine, and DCA was more crowded than Disneyland that day.
Yeah, because that's what they're there for. I mean, look, we have exclusive footage here of Chewie over there at DCA. It's crazy, dude. Even Chewie, it's crazy. No, but yeah, we'll see how it turns out. I don't know. I mean, I'm still hopeful for DCA's future because we do get an amazing Coco boat ride, which I think will be an amazing attraction, which is exactly what DCA needs,
Sure.
And everybody attraction basically. And then we're going to get Pandora, which is going to be incredible, right?
Which is kind of funny because with those two projects, we are still in the unknown of where these things are going to be placed. And I thought for sure that when they brought up like the Pixar segment and, they even showed scenes of Avatar in the beginning of the presentation. And I thought, okay, I think this is it. We're going to get and still nothing. I honestly, because I was talking with OG on the phone earlier and I told him, I said, after the presentation, I was like, I still don't even know if Disney even knows where these two projects are going to go.
They might not.
They have their picks, but I think they didn't really rubber stamp of like where they decided to put these things.
No.
Yeah, no, I would agree with you, George. I think there's a lot of question marks when it comes to the Coco boat ride and Pandora. Yeah. Now we are hearing rumors, chit-chat murmurs that, it's funny because it kind of goes back and forth, right? Like sometimes we hear that it's going into Hollywoodland, Pandora. And then lately we've been hearing Simba lot from trusted people, trusted sources. I don't want to say who because, but like, so it's interesting, just I don't know. I think because we're hearing so many different reports, like it points to what you're saying, George. Like they don't really know. They're still talking about it.
And it makes me wonder if something's going to get brought up for Destination D23. If something's going to be said about it, at least a placement, maybe not.
It would not worry me because obviously we're going to get it sooner or later. But if we don't get any announcement at Destination D, the only big time after that would be D23 in 2026.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, is that even a possibility? Because I mean, Avatar is not going to be ready till the back end of the 5 years, which would be 2030. So I mean, technically, if they wanted to, they really could wait till D23 2026.
They could, bro, and they could, and they might. They might. I mean, that's a possibility.
Yeah.
You're right, because it would be 2030 when that thing opens. You're even in 2026, you're still 4 years out.
But see, I think it would be easier in a way to have both Avengers uh, attractions open and maybe the boat ride open.
Right.
Now, building a whole land, yeah, I would agree with you on that because we all know Pandora is just one of those lands you don't, cut corners. You just don't do that. So, if they have to spend extra time on it, I'm fine with that. But it's just
So, so they'd be starting Coco in 2026. Do you think it would be done by 2027, 2028?
Well, if it's as ambitious as Josh is saying, because he said at D23, it's Pirates of the Caribbean / Haunted Mansion level quality. You can't finish that in a year.
no, there's no way.
There's no. I mean, if it's going to be that level of quality, there's no way. Like the Stark Flight Lab thing, yeah, you can knock that out in 18 months. But Coco, based on what Josh was saying, it would take you at least 3 or 4 years.
Unless they start building it this year at some point. But even then,
And then again, if they start building it, they would have to at least make the announcement.
Yeah, and they already said that the construction doesn't start until 2026 on that one, I think.
Yeah. They said for sure Coco doesn't start till I think it's the beginning of 2026.
well,
So I mean,
see that's an issue at least for me because the way I see it, OG, you've said it many times before. You're more Disney. I'm more Universal. And if you look at it, because we're having the FIFA World Cup coming, and we have the Olympics coming. We got Universal building 2 hotels and a roller coaster at the very least, and we got Disneyland building 2 Avengers rides that's going to be possibly ready for the Olympics.
that's why I was wondering if Coco would be ready for the Olympics in 2028 if they started early 2026.
Yeah, but see, the problem is, like OG said, if you're putting that much detail in it and you start rushing it, it's going to turn into
I think for one individual attraction, it would take like about 4 years.
Yeah, if they rush it, it's going to be another Tiana's Bayou adventure. I'm sorry, it is. It is.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, I do agree with you because they did rush it. They were having issues with PR and operations,
and
they were all on different pages, and one team wanted it open, the other team, or I'm sorry, no, it was between like the PR operations and Imagineering.
Sure.
Imagineering was telling like operation like it's it's not ready, but then the PR and operations saying, okay, well, we need this thing up. It needs to be good. And it's like they're saying it's not ready. And it's like it kind of got rushed. And that's why they've been having issues with the animatronics. So yeah, that would really kind of suck if that happened with Coco. Because again, as you guys said, with Damaro saying, because I was there when he said it with OG, that it's like this is going to be on the caliber of Pirates of the Caribbean and Haunted Mansion.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a park, California Adventure, which number one is always going to live in the shadow of Disneyland. So it's always going to be a lesser value, no matter what they do with it, right? But they can try at least to get it as close as humanly possible to the same value, number one. Number two, Hispanic, Latin culture is so important to the state of California. If you're going to keep the California theme, you have to go hard with the Latin culture.
Yeah.
And you can't half-ass that, you know what I'm saying? And you have to do it right. So that's why I'm really against Coco going into the pier. It feels weird to me. You're walking through a carnival, and then you're going to enter in this amazing, elaborate dark ride, heavily immersive Pirates of the Caribbean style, a boat ride. It feels very jarring to me. I'd rather have them take the Hollywood Studios area with the Monsters Inc. and all that stuff, bulldoze all that, build a nice Mexican village courtyard leading up to the boat ride. That would be much, much better, in my opinion. Go ahead, Conductor. Sorry, brother.
No. I completely agree with you because the way I look at it is if they put it in that area, you could keep Winnebago Street, you can keep the Hollywood theme. You could possibly, I'm not saying it would happen, possibly bring back the red car trolley, maybe. And you can cater to the land culture that's in California. I think that's a brilliant move. I think Avatar doesn't belong in the Hollywood Studios area. I'm sure they could fit it in there, but they're obviously, the way I look at it is, even with that bus load area and you got the monorail track, yeah, they can hide it. But personally, for me, if I was an Imagineer, I wouldn't want to have to go through all those, obstacles and whatnot. I'd rather just have a flat area like the Symbol Lot, just to build the whole 9
Right.
yards. That's the way.
Well, yeah, the Symbol Lot makes a lot of sense because you have to build the bridge over from DCA proper, right?
Yeah.
For the main park, you have to build the bridge over Disneyland Drive into Symbol Lot. So it creates almost like a grand reveal by design.
Sure.
Because you have to cross that bridge so you can do the tunnel over Disneyland Drive, and then it opens up into this beautiful Pandora, which is like, wow, I'm transported into this cool new place. It's kind of like what Universal's doing right now with Epic Universe with those portals.
Yeah.
You can kind of do the same thing with the pedestrian bridge, right? It kind of lends itself to that. It would be, and like you said, Conductor, you have a blank canvas to work with. Hollywood, and George and I have talked about it a lot. Hollywood Land, acreage wise, it'll fit. They can fit it with the bus load, all of it. They can bulldoze and they can fit it.
Yeah.
But it feels weird. Like if you don't like coming off of Buena Vista Street and going right into Pandora would feel weird. If you go to Hollywood Land, like let's just say they keep that main strip, the Sunset Boulevard, I think it's called, right?
Mm-hmm.
Going from Sunset Boulevard, hanging left to Pandora would feel weird. Like there's no real.
And then straight ahead of that, if you make a right off of there, you go into the campus.
Yeah,
You go into Avengers Campus, so it's a strange kind of thing. It has to be Symbol Lot. It has to be, right?
Yeah, because I think it would be a better transition to have, a Coco Mexican village in that spot. And then if you're going down Hollywood Boulevard to that, and then you leave that area to go to the campus, it almost ties in to the California just aesthetics. It really does.
Yeah.
It really does. It fits a lot better, I think. If they have no plans on changing the name of the theme park, because I know you guys thought about changing it to Disney's Cinematic Adventure, which I love the name, but if they're going to keep it California Adventure, why only stop with a Coco Dark ride? And why force it in an area that really doesn't make sense? I think a whole land village type aesthetic would be beautiful.
Beautiful. Absolutely. Yeah. And it pays homage to the Mexican culture that has greatly impacted our state. You know what I'm saying? You can go down Sunset Boulevard, hang a left on like Olvera Street, and then you have the beautiful Mexican area with the boat ride, the whole thing. It just makes all the sense in the world. I don't understand what the thought process is and even questioning it, but we'll see. We'll see. And now Coco, like you were saying, George, if it starts construction in early 2026, we should hear at least where it's going by Destination D, because that's in August.
Yeah.
So we should hear something. So
I think we'll hear more of Coco before Avatar.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because and also Coco is wherever they decide to put it, whether it is the pier, which I agree with you, OG, I don't think that's a good idea. Whether it goes replaces the Paradise Gardens area, they could do that. Or if it goes over into Hollywood Land, it's still within the footprints of DCA as it stands now. And I think that would be a faster transition to make that announcement. Whereas with Pandora, you then have to then start breaking into the Disneyland forward completely into the Simba parking lot, which again, I think they're trying to figure out the logistics. I feel like once they figure out a specific spot for Coco, that would lead the way for Pandora. Because if they do decide to put Coco into Hollywood Land, then we automatically know where Pandora is going to go.
Yeah.
So that's why they haven't announced Coco, is because they're still trying to figure out where they want to put Pandora.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah. No, I think you're right, George. I think there's a lot of question marks. I don't think they fully know themselves.
No.
Which is kind of scary. To be honest.
It is kind of scary. Now, I want
because when you're dealing with James Cameron, don't cross him, because he's a stickler with his Avatar is his baby. But at the same time, the more and more you keep pushing stuff off and delaying it and not making an announcement, it leaves room for the possibility of cutting stuff and putting stuff on hold and just canceling stuff out completely. And it does make me kind of uncomfortable when it's this long and we still don't know details.
Right.
Well,
I agree.
Well, see, you make an excellent point. Look at what happened in 2019 at that D23. What we were supposed to get with the Avengers Campus with the whole Quinjet attraction, and how many times has this e-ticket attraction that we're finally going to be getting been changed 3 or 4 times. So George, it makes perfect sense. The longer they wait, the worse there's possibilities, the worse it can get for cutbacks, cancellations, more pushback.
And we didn't even get our Mary Poppins teacup spinner.
No.
No. or the Main Street Theater, or half of the stuff they promised for Epcot. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah. Well, see, I want to ask you fellas that, because you had a video the other day and you're kind of talking about it towards the end of your video about Westcott. If a Westcott would come to the Disneyland Resort, if it would go to the Toy Story lot, and it makes me wonder if they do, possibly bring a Westcott, and we're talking probably 20 years from now, because I don't Disney to build in a year. There's no way in hell. They're not Epic Universe. Sorry. I'm just going to quote facts as I see it. But if they do build a Westcott, could we see the lagoon in DCA disappear and be relocated to that Westcott location? That would
like the body of water.
Yes.
I would not want to see them get rid of the body of water at DCA. I like the water itself. I like the body of water. But I also want to see a body of water at Westcott. I'd want to have both, ideally, because I don't think the problem with the pier is the water. Yeah. For me, the problem with the pier is like it's a very off the shelf kind of land, and it's not really themed anymore. It's like more like decorated. Yeah. So that's like okay, for example, they kind of ruined the whole like wooden roller coaster thing when they added Incredibles.
Yeah.
Because now you're like tacking on this mid-century thing to the what was supposed to be a wooden roller coaster on a pier. The whole thing feels so much more convoluted now.
Yeah.
So for me, I would get rid of all that pier shit and put like a nice Disney Sea style harbor around that waterfront and do something like that. Will Disney do that? No, because the normies love the pier. They love the Mickey Ferris wheel. It's an Instagrammable moment for all the kiddos. They love it, right? They're not going to ever get rid of it. But for me personally, I would want to see a more fleshed out area around that pier. I don't like the coaster. I don't like that you can see behind the coaster and see the convention center. A lot of it bothers me.
Oh yeah. Well, see, it's so funny. It's so funny you mention that, because I was watching a video today, and a YouTuber called Disney Offhand. He covers a lot of Walt Disney World and whatnot, but he does come out here to the West Coast, and he was walking around Disneyland, and he was talking about the whole thing with Tom Sawyer's Island, what's going on in Walt Disney World. Okay, and I was watching this video because he was walking around Tom Sawyer's Island. He's like, I kind of, he was pointing out things. He's like, I kind of feel that Disney's just letting things go because they have some deep dark thought in their mind that eventually they're going to try to get rid of our Tom Sawyer's Island. I don't know why they would, but it wouldn't shock me. And that's kind of what I feel like what you're talking about with the whole coaster. And, we've talked about it before. Every attraction they build, or every attraction that sits dormant and abandoned, if it ever came back online, they want IP based all across the board. They don't want the non-IP stuff. That's why, like when you said about the roller coaster being rethemed to Incredibles and all that, they kind of got away from the Santa Monica pier type style, pier. They
Right.
turned it into IP based, and it kind of almost has a lost identity to me, at least. It's too compacted with so many different Pixar IPs just to throw it in there. You got The Incredibles, you got Toy Story, you got, all sorts of, you got Little Mermaid. It's just, it's almost like they kind of just closed their eyes and pointed and said, yep, that IP's going here, that IP's going there.
Well, yeah, there's ways to do a Pixar pier that I
Yeah.
think would make more sense and be more creative. Like if you want to do an Incredibles thing on the pier, have it more like the strong man carnival stuff, and have that strong man vibe, but Incredibles, right? Like they hit the bell kind of thing, right? But it's Mr. Incredible. That would make more sense. Like you're utilizing the carnival theme and using those Incredibles characters to tell that story. They kind of did that with Midway Mania. It's carnival. It's a carnival themed attraction, and they used the Toy Story characters to tell that carnival story. I wish they would have done the same thing with the Incredicoaster and even with the Inside Out stuff, but they don't. They just put that shit in there, and it just feels very tacked on.
Well, see, the other thing to tie on to that, I could see why they kind of did what they did, because if you really think about it, if you add too much carnival theme to the pier and whatnot, what's people gonna say? They're gonna say, well, why would I pay all this money to go into a theme park that has a giant carnival like aesthetic to it?
Right.
Yeah, Disney stuff in it, or I could just go down the street, wait until the carnival comes into town and pay a quarter of the price.
Well, I've been saying that for a long time, Conductor, and a lot of people get upset with me about that. But it's like Disneyland Resort, they've been trying for a long time, for 25 years now, plus since DCA opened in 2001.
Yeah.
They've been trying to get more tourism. They want to be more of a tourist destination. If you want to be a tourist destination, start acting like one. If you have a giant carnival peering over your berm, if you have a giant carnival like a Ferris wheel and a roller coaster that you can get at Knott's, basically,
yeah,
it's not giving off world-class resort vibes.
No.
That's what I'm saying. If you get rid of that pier, you put a Disney Sea, or anything, like just a well-themed thing in there, it creates much more of a oh my God, I can't get this anywhere else. I got to go here. You can get the carnival crap at Knott's or any other place, but you can't get the really immersive Cars Land kind of things anywhere else. So, and the problem is with a lot of this stuff, like the pier, is that's the stuff you see from the outside. That's people driving by and they see that and they're like, oh, look at that. It's a carnival over there, I don't know. For DCA, getting rid of that pier and putting something in there that's way more immersive, way more impressive would really change the optics for that entire park. It's also a huge footprint in that park. It's a massive piece of property.
Oh yeah. See, that's why I liked really early concept art. And we did a video way back when. This was months ago, almost probably a year ago. I was on your channel and we were talking about it with Webba, and I think we did another one with Wizard. And that's why I kind of said, like, the early concepts with like Westcott, if they turn, DCA into Westcott, and instead of having the big spaceship Earth, you had this big giant spear, in the middle of the park or somewhere in the park, and you kind of made it like almost like Epcot, where you can have a festival center. Because you and George were just talking about it. I think it was yesterday or something, and George made a excellent point. He said DCA is not really laid out correctly for all these different festivals like Food and Wine, Lunar New Year. You got Festival of Holidays and whatever festivals they decide to bring in the future. It's just not laid out properly. That's
right.
Like Westcott, because when, like you're talking about, people from the outside are, seeing like shows, productions, they see this big giant spear, and they don't see a freaking Ferris wheel. They're like, oh my God, I got to go in there. I got to go.
Yeah. Exactly. It changes the perception, and it likely will never happen because the normies do love the pier. To be as much as I don't like it, the normies love it.
Oh,
The people love taking pictures in front of the Ferris wheel. They love the coaster. They love all that stuff. But just as a Disney park enthusiast, I just think that it would make all the difference. It would change the perception of that park completely to get rid of the carnival stuff, to get rid of the amusement park stuff in DCA. So,
yeah.
we'll see.
I want to ask you one more question that it popped to mind on the Avengers 2 attractions, and this is a question for you both. There were talks, when they're building this thing. Let's say, for example, between the two attractions, obviously, the Stark Flight Labs is a D ticket attraction, and obviously the e-ticket attraction. If you were Disney or you were Josh tomorrow, would you try to complete Stark Flight Labs first, or would it be vice versa and you can debut Avengers Infinity Defense closer to 2028 when the Olympics are here? So it's kind of like a grand reveal. What do you think about that?
What do you say about that, George? What do you think about the opening dates for these? Does it matter to you, or do you just want them
open?
I mean, for me personally, I think they've waited so much time already on the Avengers e-ticket or the defense. I think at this point it'd be best for them to just kind of get it open. I feel like if they delay it anymore, I feel like people are already kind of showing like it is what it is, because every time Disney mentions Infinity Defense or what have you, people are like, oh, okay, yeah, that thing that we were supposed to get, like, that was announced 6 years ago, But could Disney still go down that route? They very well could, because just as I had mentioned earlier when I came on, was Disney and Lucasfilm kind of teaming up with opening the Mando and Grogu Smugglers Run with the opening weekend of the film.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of relevance there to that. There's a lot of cross marketing and promoting. So, and then also with Ken Potrock moving into those that role, like dealing with like big events like the Olympics and what have you, and coming off of being the president of Disneyland, him kind of going back to the newer president and saying, hey, I'm in charge of these events coming with the Olympics. Let's see if we can maybe let's talk to Josh. Let's talk to the WDI team. Let's maybe see if we can get it around the time of the opening of the Olympics or around the time when the Olympics is going on. I think that would draw a lot of publicity to have actually a grand opening. However, I do think that would be a madhouse, to say the least, because then you'd be getting the locals and the diehard Disney fans on top of the tourism that you're bringing in for the Olympics. But maybe that's what Disney wants, because we're starting to even see that now with the new ticket deals for the 70th anniversary.
True.
It's not just for SoCal. So, I mean, that's really telling that they want people that are out of state to come over to Disneyland for the 70th.
Yeah, 100%.
Yep.
Crazy stuff. Conductor, it's always a good time having you on, brother. We will have you on again very, very soon. Make sure everybody, go ahead, Conductor. Let everybody at home know where they can find you on social media, sir.
Absolutely. You can find me on YouTube, Instagram, and Blue Sky at Theme Park Conductor. You can find me on X at Theme Conductor. You can find me every Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Conductor Thursday, where we talk with special guests, or I go solo and I just let the chat go wild. And we talk about Universal, we talk about Disney, we talk about what we just talked about tonight about Disneyland Resort's future, Universal's future. I've said it time and time again. It is such a great time to be a theme park fan.
100%. And I will be linking all his YouTube information down below. Make sure you subscribe to him. George and I are on his channel pretty regularly. So Theme Park or Conductor Thursdays, his live shows, absolutely amazing. Mr. Webba has been on there as well. So check it out for sure. And you're right, Conductor. I agree with you that it's a great time to be a park fan. We got a lot of great stuff. So it's very, very interesting. In a couple months, Italiano is going to be going to Epic Universe
Jealous.
coming up in May. So it's a time to be alive. But George, where can everybody find you on social media, sir?
Absolutely. You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You could also find me on Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky under the Disney Italiano. And of course, you can find me right here on my home base on Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info. And also check out my new YouTube channel, Citrico Central, sister channel to Orange Grove 55.
There he is, making it look easy. There he is, making it look easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Thank you all so much for watching this episode of OG55. And until the next time, see you later, alligator.
Thank you for watching OG55. If you aren't already, consider becoming a member today.